You're listening to Robinson Ventures Radio, where ingenuity meets innovation.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning or evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Robinson Ventures Radio. And today we have as our guest, Clay Saliba. Clay is one of the founders of Duality Health. And Clay, would you do the kindness of introducing yourself to us today?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast today, Cian. Happy Friday the 13th. Yeah, Clay Saliba, one of the co-founders, CEO of Duality Health. We provide facial biometric patient identification software. I know your podcast is a lot about the whys, and it's such a fascinating question to me on multiple levels. Why? Why do we wake up and do the things we do every day, especially in this crazy entrepreneur world? A little bit of background on me. Born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. My grandfather started our family's plumbing business back in the early 40s. So I come from a family of entrepreneurs. He was an orphan. He grew up, in the Depression, San Antonio, and would walk around downtown San Antonio, just knocking on doors, trying to find business. Knocked on a plumbing shop and eventually started sweeping the floors, and that's kind of how he got his start into the plumbing industry. He built up a business, and he bought a lot on this street here in downtown San Antonio. Couldn't afford a building, but he let the weeds grow, so he would store his pipe in the weeds so people wouldn't see it. And just the grit, just the effort that it took to build the business. 75 years later, I'm third generation. I'm a third generation master plumber, and it's just crazy how life takes you down these paths. Like how the heck did I get from running my family's plumbing company into healthcare? And it's just wild. It's crazy how
Unless you're a urologist or a cardiologist, there's really no plumbing in healthcare, right?
Yeah, I mean, my mom, she's a registered nurse. She was an RN in the ER for about 10 years. So I did have that experience, but no, I went to school and got my degree in business management, and that's what I planned on doing, was coming back and running my family's plumbing company, and that's what I did for 2008 to 2018. I came back. We started to transfer from paper invoices to digital iPads. We started, barcode scanning all of our inventory, and we were gonna start to scale up and scale throughout the country. That was the plan. My best friend, one of my co-founders, Mike, we known each other for over 25 years, middle school, high school, college roommates together, fraternity brothers. And, I was like, all right, I'll get my degree in business management. You get your degree in finance. And no matter what we'll do, we'll build a big business. So again, I came back, started to run the family's plumbing company. He went to a Big Four accounting. He's like, 4 years later, he was like, corporate sucks, and I was like, hey man, come work with me. Let's build up this plumbing business. And then 2018, his dad went to the hospital for a routine surgery. Clinicians pulled up the wrong patient record, gave him the wrong medication, and he died. I remember sitting at the bar a few months later with Mike, like, what the hell just happened? Like, how is this even possible? And after the anger wore off, after the shock wore off, we started to see the world differently, especially in healthcare, and we're like, how could something like this happen? We started to deep dive on just trying to research the problem, and we found this, patient misidentification and how our health records are just scattered all over the place. We're like, this is just absolutely bonkers. Like, this is crazy. Like, how can our records just be all over the place and not communicate? And we said, what's the common denominator here? It's the patient. Patient never leaves home without their face. And so we said, well, let's link the patient's face to their medical records. And that's what we've done. We've built an app that uses facial recognition that links the patient's facial biometric to their medical record numbers, to their disparate numbers. So no matter where you go as a patient, if they're using our software, they can scan your face and pull up your information, essentially eliminating, human errors. And that's kind of, that's our why. That's at least how we got started. And be happy to go into more personal whys, but that's why we're here today.
Pretty powerful why, Clay. I mean, the passing of your best friend's father, and I'm sure you knew him quite well. I mean, it's a moment in time of you can either wallow in the anger and the pity and the self-doubt, or you can actually do something about it.
Yeah.
Right. And you guys chose to do something about it.
We did, and I think, any entrepreneur sees the world differently to a certain extent than others. And the question is, well, why? Why do we see the world differently? Well, usually it's because something has happened. We have experience or some, pain, some event, and that's why we see it differently. And then that why is our why, and then even more, personal than that, it's then why do we, starting a business is extremely hard, especially in healthcare. I mean, everything moves so slow, and um, people want change, but they don't want to change. And, why do we wake up every day? Why do we, you know, obviously we sacrifice a lot, not only personally, but for our family, our wives, our husbands, whoever. So, and it's, you know, talking to you and you reaching out is an interesting time for us. It's more than ever. I've been, waking up either in the night or in the morning, and um, going through different challenges. Everything has its highs and its lows, and without the why, without some sort of North Star, it's very difficult sometimes to continue on when it's just roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. It's sometimes, people looking in, it's like, why are you doing this? And
It's to
it's
prevent somebody
important.
else's dad from dying,
Yeah,
somebody
for
else's
us.
mom from dying, or a significant other from dying. And,
For us.
you know, I've worked at a bunch of different health systems, and they have these things called master patient indices, right? Which are supposed to be a unique identifier for every single human that comes through that health system. Well, that health system has an MPI for you, but then you go to another health system and they give you another MPI, or maybe even they have an enterprise master patient index because they're a multi-state, multi-specialty, multi-campus kind of deal, right?
Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, those EMPIs or MPIs don't link to one another. Even with health information exchanges and the National Health Information Exchange, that still is a problem. So talk to us about how you all are thinking about people's faces as that EMPI, not just for a singular hospital system, but across the board, A, and then B, if you could also go into your pretty unique use case that you guys are developing right now.
Sure. Our vision is to help create a nationwide master patient index. We believe the patient's face can be that index. The way that the industry matches patient identities across organizations now is based on demographic data, name, address, date of birth. They go out and they find a match, they bring it back. And they have to do that every single time. Every time they want to query, or they, even the HIEs, every time they want to find a patient match, they have to go out, send out the demographic data, pull it back. And what we're saying is, okay, there's no way around that the first time. I'm part of a direct trust. I'm part of the Pearls consensus body, where there's a handful of us that meet every other week to try to solve this national problem of patient identification, try to help create standard, try to work with the government to try to create a way to solve this problem. And unfortunately, at least as of now, there's no way to match patient records without first matching on demographic data. And we understand that. The reason that it's that way is because that's just the data that's out there. That's how we're currently doing it. But what we're saying is, like, look, let's make that one-time connection. Let's get, and there's existing algorithms out there that give us a pretty high, 95 to 98% match. But what we're saying is, once we make that initial match, that linking, let's link that to the biometric, which is absolutely unique. And subsequent times, we can pull back that data with greater than 99% accuracy. And so that's the solution that we're bringing into the industry is, look, man, we use our faces every day to unlock our phones.
Yeah.
Let's use our face to unlock our medical records.
Yeah, remember, I mean, we've been working together now for almost 2 years, right? Tucker, when I first met Clay, it was through a colleague, Hazel Chappelle, and Hazel said, "Hey, I want you to talk to these guys," and they were really conceptual at that point in time. They had an MVP. They had won a contest at like a Chime or something like that, right? You won a contest, but they hadn't really thought through everything. And so it's been a pleasure to work with Clay and Michael and the Duality team to see them grow. And so what I would love for you to talk about is the EMS, emergency management system, specifically the ambulance use case that we've settled on, and why it's so important in that space, please.
Sure. Patient identification, patient matching is the first step along the entire patient journey, right? So whether we're picking up our prescription at the pharmacy or virtual care, we first have to know who that patient is to be able to pull up their records. And so early on, like you mentioned, partnering with you and some other uh, uh, companies such as Dell Medical School that really helped us in the early stages think through the use cases. It's like, where does the pain hurt the most? Where is just we have to do something different. And we landed in the EMS space out in the field for the medics to be able to pull up the patient's information, not only their demographic information, but critical care information like do not resuscitate statuses, an allergy list. And so again, through mutual friends and colleagues, we got introduced to UCN, who then introduced us to Acadian. And we started to share our ideas with Acadian, and they saw the vision, they saw what the potential could be, and that's where we're 100% focused right now. We feel like, especially the last 2 or 3 months, really found a niche, a true use case, a true product market fit on using this new technology to be able to help the medics out in the field get real-time crucial information to help pre-populate their record from the hospitals that we're connected to, from the health information networks that we're connected to help them pre-populate their record, to save them time and eliminate, again, manual entry and errors, and then be able to share that data to the receiving facility, to the receiving emergency department. Since we were connected there, we've essentially done the patient match already at the ED, so we can start to share this bidirectional data to be able to share the data back to the ED to help them pre-populate their receiving board with the information that the medics have out in the field. So when they do get to the ED, that streamline of care is essentially automated. And to kind of paint a picture of what happens now at the ED, the medics get there, they report to the triage desk or the registration desk, and the medic lets the triage nurse know we've got Clay Saliba. They're manually searching in Epic to find their record. Here are the vitals. They're manually having to type all that in. I mean, I observed, rode along with Acadian and observed this a couple weeks ago, and it was they could win typing contests. They were typing so fast, and it's like, why are they having to do all this manual entry, this redundant data entry that the medics have already done out in the field? And so, again, that's the whole idea, is to leverage facial biometrics, and then the data exchange that we can help now that FHIR is starting to become the standard.
And so also what's brilliant to me, Clay, is sometimes in an EMS environment, it's a non-conscious patient. And you don't have to type like the wind, because you can't get that information because that patient is not communicative. And having a facial recognition biometric that allows you to pre-populate the record while they're trying to take care of that patient is supremely important for somebody who is not conscious. The other part of that is there are, I think the joke will be, familiar faces. So people who use EMS as their primary care there's a very transigent population in the United States that they will not always present you with the truth when you go to talk to them. And so they may be, Bobby Hebert in New Orleans, it's a really bad joke there. And then they may be Bobby Herbert in, Houston, right? It's the same person, but if you're picking up that face, it's right. You can't do that if they're giving you two different like names, addresses, phone numbers, right? Now with facial recognition, you're able to unify that. And if I remember correctly, talking to the folks at Acadian, they sometimes have more than one record for the same person within their specifically their version of an EHR.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. Duplicate patient records at both the hospital side and the EMS side is a very big problem that it costs a lot to try to manage manually. And again, that's one of the value props that we can say we can help with is essentially preventing duplicate patient records and unifying this to help with those type of situations.
Right. So are you getting any pushback on the whole I don't want you to store my face in my patient record? I mean, are you getting anybody wigging out?
There's always going to be a handful of people that don't want to. I don't think you'll ever get 100% compliance. We've done numerous surveys with patients from literally 5 years old to I think the oldest one was 92, and the 92-year-old was, you're using my face for everything else. It's not a problem. The 5-year-old, as he's looking at his iPad, looks up and says, sure. Of course, his mom and his dad were there kind of smiling. But yeah, we're seeing about a 85, 87%, usage rate. Specifically in the EMS setting, in full transparency, we still are pre-pilot with Acadian and our other EMS opportunities. So we don't have hard data on that now, but during the ride-alongs, I'm asking the medics, and just other, people in general, and the majority is like, look, if I'm in an emergency situation, do whatever you need to do. You want to take a photo of me to get access to my medical records to take care of me, please. That's totally fine. So
what do you think is your biggest challenge at the moment? Where do you what keeps you up at night? Like you wake up a cold sweat and go, oh my God.
The change from an operational standpoint for our customers. So again, our customers are the EMS company and the hospital. Again, everybody wants the change. It's how can we do it in a safe, in a private, in a legally compliant way. Using biometrics and storing biometrics, there's a state by state, process. Every state, Louisiana, for example, all we just need is verbal consent. States like Chicago, you need written consent. States like New York, you just have to post a picture on, the store or the ambulance. We're using, biometric data. So it's working with our customers to try to make this change, and sometimes it's slow and hard. It's the operational side is the biggest challenge and risk for us right now. The technology's there, the interoperability standards that they are there. It's just working through the operational side of things.
Talk to me about fundraising in this current climate. Here, October 13th, Friday, 2023.
It's tough. It is extremely tough, and that's, if there's other thing that's keeping me up at night, it's the fundraising. We're raising our seed round right now. It's if we were raising in 2020, 2021, and with our current traction and our customers and our ideas, I think it would be much easier. The VCs we're talking to now, even the angels now, they're taking more of a wait and see approach. you know, I feel like as a company, we've never been further, yet we've never been so far. You know, money is obviously always something that's, as far as the CEO is concerned, is always on the top of our head. I mean, that's our job, is to get out there and make sure the company has funds to continue to operate. Luckily, we have early friends and family and early investors that believe in us and see us and continue to support us. But it's hard right now. See, I'm not going to lie. You know, I mean, it's one of the most difficult things that I've ever had to do. There's no doubt about it.
So Clay, while you're talking, I was looking up CD rates and treasury note rates right now. And if you go to any bank right now, a 10 to 18 month CD is approaching, it's anywhere between 5.5% and 6%. And treasury notes, a 2-year treasury note today, the yield is 5%.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, unfortunately, people are looking at that and going, I can park $250,000 in one of those suckers, and especially a treasury or CD, and it's going to be FDIC insured. And my 250 grand is going to be a little bit more than 250 grand at the end. Right? And the reason I say 250 is the max FDIC insured, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with these rates that are out there that have not been seen, and I think that's what everybody has to, have not been seen in decades, right? In decades. What do you have to offer? I mean, are you going to have to be competitive?
We have to be competitive with our offering, with our rates. Where, for example, if on a 2-year convertible note, we have to try to be competitive with the market, and that is just putting us in a situation where we have to be competitive.
All right, and so you're currently out raising money, right? You're out and is this so you've done your friends and family, and you're now in your seed round?
We've done our friends and family. We just got out of Techstars Healthcare. And so, yes, we are raising our seed round right now. Going back to the why, it's you wake up and one morning you got an email of somebody that's interested, then the same day you're getting no's. And so it's to be able to continue to try to raise, not only in this environment, but when you just keep hearing, no, not right now, yes, we're interested, keep us informed, thanks but no thanks. It's hard to try to stay motivated. And again, it's going back to the why. We see the way things are, now currently we see this future, and it's trying to just tell that story and offering an opportunity to investors to join us on this path and trying to be competitive with the market.
So Clay, sitting back and thinking through Techstars, I mean, for people who are listening to the podcast who don't know what this means, Clay's just like, oh yeah, I went through Techstars, it was great, right? It's a little bit more than that. So Clay, what does a Techstars healthcare sort of seal and stamp of approval mean for a Duality Health out in the world?
Yeah, Techstars is a national accelerator. They take 1% of the companies that apply. Thousands of companies apply every year. There's different Techstars, I guess maybe chapters or locations that are throughout the country. Each run 2 cohorts a year. They take anywhere from 10 to 12 companies in each cohort. And we were selected into the Techstars Healthcare, which was in Los Angeles, and it was a healthcare specific Techstars accelerator program. It was sponsored by Cedars-Sinai, United Healthcare, Point 32, and it was an amazing experience. It was an intense 3 months. My wife and I went out to LA and spent 3 or 4 months there. And, the biggest thing is they tell you basically how to go from 0 to 1. The majority of the companies there are pre-revenue, are pre-seed round. And so the first, 2 or 3 weeks is something where they call mentor magic, where you're just, 8 to 10 meetings every day. You're talking with different mentors. And I think that was the biggest thing we got out of it is, our network just 100x. I mean, the type of people we talk to, the quality of people we talk to, from, chief marketing officers to CEOs to CTOs of some of the largest hospital systems in the country. It would have taken us years to try to get meetings with those people or to talk to those people. And the ethos of Techstars is give first. And I truly saw what that means. I mean, from the mentors to giving their time to helping out, to the program directors. I mean, it was all about. I'd never been in an organization around a group of people that just were so willing to help, and it was just a very powerful thing that we'll reap benefits from for years to come. I mean, we're part of this network now forever, and we could not have been happier and more humbled to be selected to be part of that network.
What, for those folks listening to the podcast, what is like a teaching that they could take away from listening to you? Like, what could they learn? What should they learn?
For any entrepreneur that's thinking about starting a business or has started a business, especially in the early days where I am right now, it takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of passion, consistency. I'd say consistency is the key. Just get up every day and write down what you want to try to get accomplished today, and just select the top 2. You have to be ruthless with your with your time management and trying to prioritize what are the 1 or 2 things that are going to move my business forward today. And sometimes you have to be willing to change. You have to, we go in with an idea or a way that we think we're going to help solve a problem or a solution. And then the earlier you can try to talk to customers, the better. And just be quick, just be nimble, be able to, kind of be like water. I mean, you go, you're on a path, and then you hit something and like, okay, that didn't work. I got the feedback. Let me come around this way. And you go, and then something else comes up. But, at this early stage, it's all about not giving up, being super consistent, and trying to find the people around you, the mentors that you could lean on, that believe in you, that can connect you. Because all it takes, Ian, is just one connection. And you helped us more than along with some of the other friends and mentors that we have along the way. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just being able to survive long enough to run into that one person or that one thing or that one opportunity that just sets you on a completely different trajectory. And so just not giving up. That's.
Yeah, everybody thinks entrepreneurship and being a founder is glitz and shine, when it's really grit and grind.
It is.
And talk to me about, like, it's you're going to hear a lot of no's. You also have to get to yes, right? What is the hardest no you've received to date? Like, you were like, yeah, I know this is going to be a yes, and then it was a no, right?
Yeah. I mean, without saying names, every meeting that, you seem like, oh man, I just killed it on that meeting. They're going to say yes. They're going to say yes. And you're staying up, you're looking for the emails every morning. And then, the hardest one was that when they just ghosted and they just don't even like email back. There was one VC that I remember, and there's I think every company needs to have some, some like a villain, to kind of keep you moving every day. And so it's kind of like those ones that you were thinking were so going to say yes, and then they just completely ghost you, and then you kind of put them on your little fuck you list, and that that list sometimes gets pretty big, and you look at that list every day, and you're like, all right, guys, all right, people, ladies, like I'm going to show you one day, and
And
so
my favorite
yeah.
is right. So as you can imagine, Clay, I've been probably on somebody's FU list a couple times, right,
Yeah.
in my career, I would say. And again, I'm not beating my chest. Like I've had to say no more than I've had to say you could say yes, right? And so I always tell folks that yes, you could use me as the villain, as you put it, out to like I don't care if you're hanging my big old fat head, and I'm the fat head up in your office that you're like, I'm going to show Robinson, I'm going to raise a bunch of money, and we're going to be the best damn company ever. And then he's going to have to invest like
Yeah.
2 years from now at our Series A at a valuation where his money isn't going to give him buckus, but he's going to have to invest, right?
Yeah.
And so I always teach people like you got to understand the no, because sometimes the no is just like, hey, it's not right. It's like it's not you, it's me. It's not the right time. You don't fit our thesis. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of reasons that no's show up, but the no's I hate are the not just they never say yes.
Yeah.
That is the one that just burns me, even like
Yeah.
to this day. You know, we just not going to say yes. We're just never we're never going to say no, right?
Yeah.
And then I think also, keep that FU list growing, right? But also keep in touch with them, right? Sit there and say,
Yeah.
we're going to put you in our, and that's one thing Techstars teaches is you put those folks in that like update list, right? That update email goes out, and and that is the best FU back. It's like, hey,
It
we made this
is.
progress.
Yeah.
And then it's this progress. Congratulations, we've got our first contract.
Uh-huh.
Oh look, we won an SBIR.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Right?
It's the business equivalent of, oh, she declined the date. Well, let me post my new girlfriend so everybody else knows what's going on and you can see it too.
Yeah, and then when the FOMO gets real and they start sending emails, be like, oh, look, let me look at my CRM. No, you never even responded to me. Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is like right now at the stage of company you are, you'll raise your seed round. There's no doubt in my mind that the seed round's coming, right? And then you will see, and I've seen this in a bunch of different, like, there's a few companies that have been on the podcast who have had that happen, Clay, where they've sat there and they raised the round, and these people put them through diligence, and they put them through the ringer, and they came out the other side and went, right, not going to do it, right? And now I can think of a few of them are getting the one ringy dingies, right? For us Generation Xers out there who understand what that means. And we'll be like, oh, so you want to come in the round now? I'm sorry. The buy-in went from 25 grand. The buy-in now minimum is a $250,000 million minimum. And you're a non-strategic, so it's $1 million to 1.5.
Yeah.
Right. So so just keep the faith, brother.
Oh yeah. No. That's the name of the game. See, and I'd love to know your why. Why did you start Robinson Ventures? Why this podcast?
So you can go to episodes 1 and 2 of Robinson Ventures Radio to learn my why. And the reason I started this podcast is this guy named Tucker Robinson, our producer for today. Literally, Clay was like, Dad, you know some really freaking cool people. He goes, and he had been on a few calls with me, right? Like these, right, Clay? And he's like, you should just interview them. I know how to record this stuff and we can turn it into a podcast. And I'm like, all right.
The other thing is that, like, not only does he know a lot of cool people, he knows a lot of cool people that know how to talk about what they do, without it sounding like a math equation. So he knows well-spoken, charismatic, cool people. And he's all right, I guess. And so it's just he's my old man. You gotta rough him up a little. It's just what Dad was in his office doing his stuff. And so it's this really cool intersection of our ability to spread information and entertainment, spreading the word. It's just this really cool intersection.
You've got to understand, like, if we go way back, like Tucker was 4 and Rory was 1 when I started Robinson Ventures in 2002. And it was in a studio above my garage. So it was a garage attic that was converted into a studio, right? And Tucker would get off the bus from kindergarten, and I'd go get Rory from Miss Gales from daycare, and they would come upstairs while Dad emailed and talked on the phone. There wasn't anything like we're doing today, right? So for people to know, we're on a Google Meet, right, recording this. So there wasn't anything. And so when Tucker was asked what Mom and Dad for a living, he wrote, "Mom works at the college," which was Erie Community College at the time, "and Dad talks on the phone." Right? The great part is he's grown up with, and now we're talking 21 years later, here's Robinson Ventures, right? And this is Robinson Ventures 2.0, because Robinson Ventures 1.0, we exited. It was a nice exit. It wasn't FU money exit, right? Mm-hmm. There's FU money that you grow, you grow Duality Health so much, you're now worth 9 figures standalone, right? That's FU money. That's like Clay does whatever the hell Clay wants to do today, right? This was more along the lines of, oh, look, you could put some money away towards retirement. You could have a nice lifestyle, get another house, right? And take some time off when your wife, Natalie, has now become the chancellor of South Louisiana Community College in Lafayette, Louisiana, 10 campuses, 18,000 students. So it was her turn, right? So it really comes back around to always wanting to help people. In particular, I watched my grandmother decline when I was in college because of social determinants of health. She had 5 heart attacks before she died. Mm-hmm. And literally getting nearly into a fist fight with a physician who was at her bedside because they were trying to turn her bed over because she wasn't going to make the night. And he had that conversation right there. And I was like, you know what? Eventually I will get into healthcare and I'm going to fix this, right? It was really that sort of gut reaction. And so Robinson Ventures started off as, a consultancy that we invested in some companies and we helped grow small businesses. And Robinson Ventures 2.0 has been all about how do we move the needle in healthcare. It's about radically changing the way healthcare is conducted in the United States. And I look at you, Clay, and what happened to Michael's dad is very similar to what happened to my grandmother and other family members, and how we cannot allow this to continue to happen. We have to radically change healthcare, and we have to move the needle.
Yeah. Amen on that, brother. My somebody very, very close to me, a dear family member, suffers from mental illness, schizophrenia, and he has been picked up by the EMS, by the ambulances, 4 times in the last 2 months. And one of the really interesting use cases that we can try to help with is for people like that who are in these, at-risk cohorts, whether it be, delirium or substance use disorders, for the medics to be able to pull up their information and know, like, hey, this patient is just at this at-risk cohort, and let's take him to this facility, stuff like that. So there's some very interesting things that we can start to help with, whether it is, social determinants of health or SUDs. Another cool thing is there's, using, as we continue to build up our facial database of images, we can use the AI and the deep learning to start to analyze the images to start to figure out trends in people's the way people's face change over time, and we can start to predict problems with their health. So there's some very powerful things that are coming down the line with not only our technology, but these new cool thing they call AI these days. So
all right, so what is one thing everybody needs to know about you that people don't usually know?
About me personally, I've faced a lot of adversity growing up, and one thing that I do is I just never give up. I'm like a cockroach, man. You just can't kill me. I'm just, no matter, I may not have the healthcare background. People may say, like, what are you doing running this company? I think that's a blessing. One thing that I am able to do is just persist, is just have the patience, have the opportunity to just continue to go. and to be able to round the people, to bring people around me to fill the gaps that I may not have, that they may not have, to be able to build this very powerful group of people who are all aligned on a singular mission and vision, and to execute. You know, if I had to say that's, you know, what my superpower is, it's that, you know.
Final question. What is a question that I should have asked you that I didn't?
What my favorite books are.
And
Oh, that was
what are your
quick.
favorite books, Clay?
My favorite books. I
Now
mean,
does he have an answer? Like, that's the question. He came up with the question. Is there an answer?
I was trying to think of something punny and fast, but no. Look, Jim Collins is my guy. Good to Great is just an amazing book. I reference it all the time. John C. Maxwell is another great author of mine that I just love. You know, John says there's 4 different ways of why people change, which again, kind of going back to the why. You know, one of the reasons people change is because of pain, because something happened, and you know, you just have to do something to prevent it from happening to somebody else again. So, yeah, I mean, those are my 2 favorite authors for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you, Cian. I appreciate the invite, and thanks again for helping. I'd like to ask you one more question. You know, you've given me some great advice over the years. You work with young startups and entrepreneurs all the time. What's one lesson or what's one word of advice that you can give them for people in our stage?
When you start to be successful, don't capitulate to arrogance and hubris, and don't believe your own media.
Yeah.
I've seen way too many companies win awards or win pitch competitions or start that forward momentum and then bupkis, right?
Mm-hmm.
They start thinking that, you know, they're living the entrepreneurial founder lifestyle, right? Don't. It is grit and grind the majority of the time. There will be a point in time where it'll be less. And Clay, I'll tell you, I'm 54 years old. You know, it's still grit and grind.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have clients. I have to go out. I have to produce, right? And if I don't, it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget where you came from.
Yeah, you betcha.
Thank you again, Cian Tucker. It was a pleasure, my friend. Thanks.
Pleasure. It's a
doing
pleasure
this.
having you on.